Hello students, welcome to this session. Today we shall study about wind as a climatic factor. The contents of the presentation shall include a brief introduction to environment and environmental factors. We shall study about atmosphere, atmospheric composition, atmospheric layers, wind as a climatic factor. Then we shall study about the effects of wind on plants, and in the last we shall study about the measurement of wind velocity. Let us first have a brief information about environment and environmental factors. Environment is the sum total of all the conditions that are biotic and abiotic factors and surround that an organism. It makes up the environment of that organism. There are different factors of environment, and most of the ecologists recognize four categories of environmental factors. They are: number one, climatic factors that relate to the climate of the area. Second is the topographic factors which relate to the physical geography. Third is edaphic factors which deal with the soil conditions. And the fourth one is biotic factors dealing with the interaction of living organisms. What are climatic factors and what a climate is? Climate is the average weather condition of an area over a longer period of time. All those factors which contribute to and control the climate, they are its factors and hence called as climatic factors or aerial factors. They include water, humidity, wind, light, and temperature. Water and humidity we have already studied. Therefore, we shall study about wind as a climatic factor in this presentation. Climatology is the scientific study of climate. That is, how the weather conditions change over the period of time in a given area. And wind is a factor of this climate, and it is the movement of air relative to the surface of earth. A large volume of air moves over the earth's surface, and this movement is because of difference in air pressure within our atmosphere. The area under high pressure are different from the area under low pressure. So the air flows from area under high pressure towards the area under low pressure. Greater the difference in the pressure at two sides, faster is the flow of air. As all these activities take place within our atmosphere, so we need to study about the atmosphere also. Atmosphere is a thick gaseous mantle that surrounds our Earth. It extends up to a height of about 300 km above the Earth's surface. Now the atmospheric pressure is maximum at sea level, and as the altitude increases, the atmospheric pressure declines. Approximately 95% of the total air present in our atmosphere is found within about 20 km above Earth's surface. The remaining 5% is found in the rest of the atmosphere beyond 20 km. This atmospheric envelope is a mixture of different gases. There are a number of gases and their approximate volume is that nitrogen is about 78% by volume. Next is oxygen, which is a little less than 21%. These are two major gases in our atmosphere. Next comes argon, which is about 0.93%, and carbon dioxide, which is about 0.04%. These are two minor gases. There are some other gases like neon, helium, ozone, krypton, methane, nitrous oxide, etc., which are in very small amount and hence they are called as trace gases. Water in the gaseous form is also found in our atmosphere, but its value varies from time to time. So it is variable in volume. Let us study about these gases. First is nitrogen. Nitrogen is the most abundant gas in the atmosphere. Two atoms of nitrogen join to form a molecule of N2 nitrogen gas. Nitrogen is very important for all the living organisms. It is a constituent of proteins. As proteins are made up of amino acids which contain nitrogen. Nitrogen is present in nucleic acids. It is found in chlorophyll, vitamins, and many other alkaloids and phytohormones. But whatever nitrogen is present in the atmosphere, plants cannot use it. It is first to be converted into the usable form and the process is called as nitrogen fixation. And as we know, nitrogen is converted into the form that the plants can use it. We know plants assimilate only nitrate and ammonium ions. So many biological organisms have this property that they can fix atmospheric nitrogen. Animals obtain their nitrogen requirement from plants. The dead remains of plants, animals, and their excreta, which is organic matter, it undergoes decomposition and releases ammonia, nitrate, or nitrogen. These are important steps in the nitrogen cycling. The next gas is oxygen. It is the second important constituent of our atmosphere and has a vital role in the activities of life. All the organisms break down their respiratory substrate in the presence of oxygen. The aquatic organisms use dissolved oxygen in water. The deficiency of oxygen in water bodies indicates the pollution level. Because the organic matter in water bodies is decomposed by microorganisms which use up the dissolved oxygen and break down the pollutants, thereby causing a deficiency of oxygen in water, while the organisms which are living in water bodies, they need oxygen. So this decline in dissolved oxygen level indicates the pollution level in water bodies. The molecular oxygen is mainly present near the Earth's surface, and at very high altitude it can dissociate the two atoms of oxygen can get separated, and that's what takes place at higher altitude. The two minor gases are argon and carbon dioxide. Argon is a noble gas which is present in our atmosphere. There are other gases like krypton, xenon, they are also present in our atmosphere. Argon is chemically inert, colorless, and has no odor. Argon is used in electricity bulbs as it prevents the oxidation of tungsten filaments. In metal industry, it is used as a inert gas shield in arc welding and cutting. The most exotic use of argon is in the tires of luxury cars. Argon is used in these car tires as it protects rubber from attack by oxygen, and When tires are filled with argon, these tires make less noise at high speed. That is why these luxury car tires have argon in them. Argon can be produced in industry by fractional distillation of liquid air in a cryogenic air separation unit. Carbon dioxide is another gas which is the main source of plants for their photosynthetic activity. It is produced by living organisms in the process of respiration. Other sources of carbon dioxide include volcanic eruptions, burning of fossil fuels, and decomposition of organic matter. The concentration of carbon dioxide varies during the day. It is highest in the morning and keeps on declining. The concentration of carbon dioxide decreases by noon and goes on till sunset. So that is how its level varies during the daytime. Its concentration is almost 50 times higher in the oceanic water as compared to our atmosphere. One of our major activity is the burning of fossil fuels. This is a major cause of enhanced carbon dioxide level in the recent past that has led to cause the global warming or the greenhouse effect. So that was about major and minor gases. As all these gases are present in our atmosphere has got a specific structure. Rather, it has got 4 concentric layers which differ from each other in density, in temperature, in pressure, and composition. The 4 concentric layers have been named as troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and thermosphere. This figure shows that how our atmosphere is structured. Temperature is shown on x-axis and altitude is on y-axis. The first layer is troposphere, which is about 11 to 16 kilometer in height. Stratosphere begins after troposphere, and the zone between troposphere and stratosphere is tropopause. Then stratosphere is followed by mesosphere, and in between them is stratopause. Between mesosphere and thermosphere is mesopause. Let us study all these layers one by one. First is troposphere. It is the lowermost layer of the Earth's atmosphere, and all weather processes take place in this layer. It extends up to about 11 to 16 kilometer. The height being maximum at equator and minimum towards the poles. About 80% of all the mass of gases exists in this troposphere. In this zone, air temperature and pressure decline with increase in height. Clouds, lightning, and thunderstorms are formed in this zone. And as mentioned earlier, troposphere and stratosphere are separated by a layer, a thin layer called as tropopause. The second concentric layer of the Earth's atmosphere is stratosphere. It is found at an altitude of about 13 to 19 kilometer and extends up to about 50 kilometer. This zone is almost free of clouds. Temperature remains nearly constant in the lower part but increases in the upper region. A very important gas, that is ozone, is found in this zone. This gas protects us from harmful ultraviolet radiations coming from sun. So it is very important for life on this planet. The boundary between stratosphere and mesosphere is called as stratopause. The third layer of the atmosphere is mesosphere. It lies between 50 kilometer and 80 kilometer. It has about 0.1% of the total atmospheric mass. Yet some ozone is also found in this zone. Temperature declines in this layer as the altitude increases. There is a boundary between mesosphere and thermosphere. It is called as mesopause. The fourth layer is thermosphere. It extends from about 90 kilometer to about 300 kilometer or even more in altitude. The atmospheric particles undergo ionization by ultraviolet or other solar radiations. Temperature in this zone again starts increasing with height, and the air concentration in this zone is very thin. So this was about different layers of our atmosphere. Let us begin with wind. We know the air in motion is called as wind, and it is an important ecological factor. Sometimes we use different terms for the wind depending on its velocity. If the wind velocity is from 1.5 to 4.5 kilometer, it is called as light air. If the velocity is between 5 to 50 km, it is called as breeze. Above 50 km up to 102 km per hour is called as gale. 103 to 115 km per hour is called as storm, and above 115 km per hour it is named as hurricane. Sometimes wind is in circular motion with a low pressure at the center. It is termed as cyclone. So these are different terms used for wind in the atmosphere. What are its effects on plants? Wind has several physical as well as physiological effects on the life of plants. First one is dispersal of pollen grains. Many plants are dependent on wind for the dispersal of their pollen grains, and this leads to the pollination and the production of next generation in many plants. Wind also plays an important role in the dissemination of microbes. It can disperse microorganisms in the form of droplets, fungal spores, and many pathogens also. So it plays a role in the dissemination of microbes. The dispersal of seeds and fruits is called as pneumochory. Dispersal helps the plants to spread to new areas and adapt to the conditions. For the survival of the species, this is very important, as if some members at one place are lost due to any reason, the same species survives at some other place. So, wind helps the species to preserve themselves in different areas. Another effect of wind on plants is dwarfing. Wind may cause the removal of water from plant tissues or even from soil. This may lead to desiccation. The plant's growth may remain stunted. This is called as dwarfism. Another effect is breaking and uprooting of plants. The fast moving winds may break the branches, fruits, leaves of the plants, or may even uproot them. This phenomenon is called as wind throw or windfall. Deformation is another effect of wind on plants. Sometimes the plants get deformed because of strong unidirectional winds, and a permanent change in the form and position of shoots may take place. The phenomena is common in trees that are growing on ridges and along the coast because winds are unidirectional in such areas. Seventh effect is abrasion. Fast moving winds can pick up sand and dust particles with them. These particles can rub against the delicate parts of the plants and may cause harm to them. This is called as abrasion. Lodging is another effect. Bending or flattening of crops against ground is called as lodging. It is commonly seen in crops like wheat, maize, rice, and sugarcane. Farmers suffer huge losses because of lodging, because the seed quality may decline and there may be a decrease in yield as well. So lodging is another effect of the wind. Wind may take away soil particles leading to soil erosion and may deposit these particles elsewhere. Both these activities may result in the killing of plants. Another effect is salt spray. In coastal areas, this is very common. The strong winds may spray the saline water on the foliage parts of plants. Pure water evaporates and a thin film of salt is left behind. On the plant parts, it may cause exosmosis and damage the delicate parts. It may also block the stomata. So this phenomenon is called as salt spray. Winds also affect one of the most important phenomenon in plant life, that is transpiration. Winds remove the humid air from near the foliage parts of the plant and alter the transpiration rate. Winds are also responsible for bringing rains in different parts of the world, and this is another important natural process. So we have seen different effects of wind on plants, their life, their physical and physiological processes, and rainfall as well. In the last, let us study how do we measure wind velocity. Wind velocity is measured using an instrument called anemometer. It has got 4 cups mounted on a pivot. When this instrument is placed in the open, the cups rotate at a speed which is proportionate to the velocity of wind. This moves the indicator in the meter that may be calibrated as kilometer per hour. But nowadays there are many new gadgets. These may be handheld digital anemometers. So using different types of these instruments, we can measure wind velocity. So let us see what we have studied in this presentation. We have studied about our atmosphere and its composition. We have studied about atmospheric layers, then wind as a climatic factor, its effects on the life of plants, and in the last we studied the measurement of wind speed. Here are some of the questions. I hope you shall be able to attempt these questions in brief. I hope the things are clear to you. Thank you.